Coming up in this week's show, we go in search of a fun, sporty hatchback on a tight budget.
We advise a viewer with suitable Bakkies for his higher intent business.
And we look at whether it's worthwhile buying a warranty on a 13-year-old vehicle.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. We'll be tackling a fresh batch of your vehicle-related questions and queries. Once again, and here to help us this week are two familiar faces. Perry Talliard from Haval Fourways and Tommy Masimola from In4Ride. Welcome guys, nice to have you all back. And Paddy adding some color as usual to the show. Remember, if you like the panel's advice, you can send us an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za. And please include as much information as possible, including a pretty pic of yourself.
Okay guys, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you guys are busy. Great of you to join us here. We're going to kick off things with a question from George, who is a proud owner of an Audi A3 1.4 TFSI S-Tronic, and he's in the market for a small to medium-sized SUV. Now, he's got a budget of 280 to 360,000 rand. Searching amongst German, American brands. He has his eyes on another Audi, either a Q2 or a Q3, as well as products from Jeep and Ford. He wants to know what we would recommend in that price range or vehicle class. Tommy, let's start with you. Where would you go?
I think you should stay with the Audi. He already likes the Q2 and the Q3.
Yeah.
Q2 is actually quite rare, very stylish. They're going out of production now, actually. So I think he'll get one at a very, very good price. Q3 is very popular. He's not going to get a discount out of that from any dealership, buying new or used. So Q2 maybe, unless space is an issue for him. If he wants the bigger car, then he can take the Q3. I saw that he mentioned other brands, Jeep, I think he said, Ford as well. Complicates things a little bit. I think he should stick with the Audi, especially for his needs.
Yeah, I think in that sort of segment, you know, the Audi is a quality brand, and a Q3 would be a great option for him, I think, if like you mentioned, the popular cars. What would you stick him in the sort of Audi brand, in that sort of 260 to 360,000 rand price bracket?
What stuck out for me is that he spent quite a bit of money servicing his current Audi.
Yeah, they're not cheap to run. Yeah.
They're not cheap to run. I would, just purely on price and servicing, I would assume that the Ford is a lot cheaper than the Audi
But the problem
range.
is, what Ford do we throw in there?
Well, you
EcoSport.
could look at a Jolion, Haval Jolion brand.
But he
new.
did
They start.
say he abhors Asian brands.
No, he didn't say a bore.
You know?
He's not keen on them, which means to me that there is still some wriggle room to maybe persuade him and just have a look at them.
You know, I was going
there
to
are some good
the same thing.
Asian brands out there, and the Jolion is one of the most popular.
I was going to suggest a Kia Sportage or something like that. And maybe he needs to jump into an Asian brand before he makes a statement like he's not keen on Asian brands.
Yeah, but I'm with Tommy. You know, Tommy says he's a fan of an Audi. So if you're a fan of the Audis, it's like very difficult to pull him away from that brand.
Okay, that's fine. Then I'm with you on that too.
Yeah.
But he needs to know he's not buying new. He's going to be buying second hand.
Yes.
And when you buy second hand, as we say on the show, you're buying someone else's problems.
Well, if you're going to buy a Q3, which I think, Tommy, you and I would agree would be a great option for him here, the best one of the bunch is the diesel version. You buy a 2-liter TDI version and buy it in manual. Stay away from the auto version and stay away from the petrol versions, because the petrol versions' engines, quite frankly, are garbage, rubbish, pieces of junk, and they should be thrown in the dustbin. The diesel version will give you good fuel economy, great power, and long-term reliability. The manual transmission doesn't give any trouble. The automatic gearboxes in the Audis, we all know, are problematic. But here again, I would also like to agree with Paddy, because for 360,000 rand, you could buy yourself a brand new, in her case, Haval Jolion. Go along and have a test drive. Go to Paddy and say, I want to go test drive.
Yeah,
and I think you'll be
nothing to
pleasantly
lose.
surprised.
Absolutely nothing to lose.
Yes.
Doesn't cost you anything.
Yes.
How much do you charge for a test drive?
Nothing.
It's free.
It's
Go
free.
along. Exactly. Go along. Test drive them.
All we want is a smile. That's it.
100%. Paddy will give you a cup of coffee. Go and drive one of those cars, see what they're like. It's worthwhile keeping your eyes open for that, because in that sort of 360,000 range price range on an Audi, you're going to be buying something that's most probably out of its plan. It's most probably done close to or maybe more than 100,000 kilometers. So for me, I would rather look at a new car. But if you're the Audi fan, you want to stay with that, that's cool.
The unicorn you mentioned, how many will be available?
Well-
because everybody knows how crap the 2 liters are and the 1.8
Yeah.
turbos and the gearboxes.
So the best-
you mentioned 2-liter diesel,
Yeah. In manual.
manual,
And you're getting a good
and
car.
you're getting a good car.
Great car.
Where is he going to find that? Because the people that own those cars don't want to sell them.
That's the problem. So look around and see if you can find that. And if you can't find that, if you're near Paddy, she's in Four Ways, pop her a visit. She's actually quite nice. Okay.
Okay, brownie points for Adam. Eddie hails from Polokwane and is in search of a fun, compact hatchback with decent fuel economy. He has spotted a Suzuki Swift 1.6 Sport and he plans to use the vehicle for his daily commute to work and to have a little bit of fun on the weekends. With a budget of 3,000 to 4,000 Rand monthly, people, is this a good buy? Also, what common issues should he look out for? He's also open, and here's a guy I really like to talk to, he's open to other suggestions. So Paddy, what do you think of those 2 examples of the Suzuki Sport that he's given us? Should he get a Suzuki Sport? I know he's
Nothing
going to have
wrong.
fun in it,
Nothing wrong with the Suzuki Sport. Not at all. Not in my
and he will have fun.
It's a Suzuki, he will have fun in it. And it looks good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cute little new car with a bit of spunk. Yeah,
Nunu car.
yeah, it's a cute little.
Do you think it's a cute little Nunu car there, Tommy?
Tommy?
It is a Nunu car.
Thank you.
But I did read up a couple of things on some of the problems that they give, like clutch slippage, like dashboard rattles a little bit. And they mentioned it's the naturally aspirated, so he's not going to have any turbo issues. But there is also loss of power issues in some of the cars. So yeah, he can look out for
Tend
those.
to get that with clutch slippage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What's the power?
we're talking about a car that's 8 years old. Both of these cars, the 2015, both the 2015 1.6 Sports, one's got 116,000, other 130,000. I think these are great cars to buy because the technology in there is fairly simple. You get a car that looks funky, looks sporty. It's quite a cool car. There's not a lot of them around. It's not like a Polo where every time you look there's 5 Polos. When you see them, they still look, even though they're 8 years old, they still look good. You mentioned there are some issues with clutch slippage, but I think that's with any car. And being a
Performance vehicle.
a sporty car, people do hammer them a bit. So if you're going to go and drive one, you take Tommy's advice and just check how's the clutch. Is it biting nicely? Is it not slipping? The clutches aren't that expensive to replace. Like any car, you're going to need to change a clutch at a manual car at some stage. I think this is a fantastic option. I wouldn't even say go look at anything else. I would say definitely go and buy. And there's clubs like the Suzuki Swift Club that you can go and join and have fun with them and get, go out and day trips with them. Really,
You can also,
a great car.
if you're having trouble with the car, like you just suggested, Adam,
they don't really
they'll help you.
much trouble.
I'm just saying, if you're going to have trouble with the car, you join the club will help you out, they'll put you under people that they know, and things like that.
Well,
I would take either of them,
I've got an important question though.
Sure.
He doesn't mention this, but what color is it?
Yellow.
Hopefully.
Suzuki-
Because
has
it's gotta
to
be
yellow.
yellow.
It's
Yeah.
got to be yellow.
It's got to be yellow.
It's got to be yellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's not, then
Then you
maybe,
shouldn't get it,
maybe
yeah.
the red or the blue. But the yellow.
The yellow's got to
Yeah.
be.
Absolutely.
And you can call it Bumblebee. There we go. Stay tuned, because after the break, we advise a viewer with a suitable bakkie for his hire a tent business.
And we help a viewer with a problematic central locking system on his Suzuki Swift. You're watching Buyer's Guide, and if you just joined us, welcome to this week's show. Jeremiah wants to start a hire a tent business and is looking for a bakkie within a budget of approximately 350,000 Rand. The bakkie must be able to carry tents, chairs, toilets and crew for birthday, wedding and funeral functions. Ford and Toyota bakkies are on his radar, but he's also open to other brands. Also, please advise with the relevant laws what he should be aware of related to transporting such equipment and stuff. Okay, let's start with the last one. What are the relevant laws to transporting that type of equipment and stuff?
The law is quite long. My advice to him is he must read the National Road Traffic Regulations, especially 247 and 250. Those are the relevant ones to his specific question.
Okay.
Who you can carry in the back, on the load box, who you can't carry, children, for instance, school kids. Is it for money? Is it your parents? Is it your workers?
Oh, it's pretty
So
long.
it is regulated, yes,
Yeah.
it's quite long. So he must just go to that and have a read for himself.
Tell me, you've obviously read the regulations. As far as I understand, it is illegal to carry people on the back of a bakkie. Am I correct?
No, it's not.
No.
So you
With or without a
See,
canopy?
That's with or without. So there are specifics to that. You can carry people at the back of a bakkie
As long as they're relative.
as long as there's A, B, C, and D covered,
Yes.
even without a canopy. So it's quite a long
Wow.
long thing.
I
So
didn't know that. I
yeah,
thought it
you
was
must just
illegal.
I know it becomes
Complicated.
a little bit complex.
Obviously, with equipment, you know, there's obviously a load.
There's-
There's a load that vehicle is designed to carry. You can't put 4 tons on a 1 ton
One-ton
bakkie.
bakkie,
you
yeah.
know.
Absolutely.
You know, and obviously common sense would.
And you can't
prevail,
mix people with equipment. It gets quite specific, you know,
Yeah.
in terms of where should those people be sitting. They shouldn't be standing. They shouldn't be running around the back of the bakkie. All that stuff. is
Okay, Tommy, just give us that again, please, so it's all clear. Relevant laws on the...
What was the number
What
again?
was
It's
the national?
It's the National Road Traffic Regulations, specifically Regulation 247 and 250.
There we go.
Perfect.
So
There we go.
obviously we are cut for time here, so we can't really sit here and debate
Discuss
that
that.
for hours on end. So let's go back to the question now. 350,000 Rand, buy a bakkie. Tommy, is this something you would recommend?
Yes, I will recommend 2 vehicles. Either the Hilux or the Ranger are fine. He mentions that he doesn't want South Koreans, but he doesn't say anything about the Chinese. So I think he should go test drive a GWM P Series.
Okay.
Because, yes, because the pricing is excellent and
The load
the
win is
load
huge,
is
yes.
amazing.
Yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely,
I think,
Tommy.
yeah, and obviously then it's very, very comfortable, easy to drive. I think that's the one you should actually look for.
Next question would go to Paddy. 350,000 Rand. Can you get into a used P Series
Yes,
with
you
it?
can.
And would
And
you
then
be
you
a,
would
would it be a
specifically-
single cab or
It
would
be
it
a
be a
single
double
cab. Most
It would be
definitely
a
a single
single
cab. Yeah.
Okay.
And it does have a huge load bin, right?
It has an Olympic size load bin. It's unbelievable how big the load bin is.
Yeah, that
And
was the
on
first
top of
thing that
that-
struck me, yes.
And on top of that, you've got a 2.5 ton towing capacity as well.
So,
So
you
he
could
could,
also
like,
hook a
hook a
trailer
trailer.
on.
Still hook a trailer and
Yes.
tow 2.5 tons with that.
So that's great advice. I mean, if you've got, I mean, we know tents and toilets and things like this do take up space.
Correct.
So if he had Portaloos as an example, you must probably fit, doesn't matter what bakkie, it must probably only fit 2 on them.
Yes.
But if you got yourself a trailer, you could load a lot more stuff on a trailer. And a trailer is a lot cheaper than buying a bakkie. You can find a second-hand one or whatever. And you can still carry certain, within the regulations, carry certain people on the back of your vehicle. It's a great option. What about the GWM Steed products?
The Steed 2 litres, it's a beautiful 1 tonner. That's also a very, very good option. He would get that for about 260.
So again, you could actually, for 260,000 Rand, he could buy himself
Yeah.
like a 2-litre petrol version.
Diesel.
Diesel.
Yeah,
Okay.
petrol is discontinued. so
Great.
it's only
So the
the
diesel
Yep.
version.
And you'll have money left over to buy a trailer.
And you'd have money left over to buy
For
a
the
trailer.
trailer.
And the great thing, I suppose, about this as well, I mean, as much as I'm a great fan of the Hilux, a fantastic bakkie, and I love the Ford Ranger, both are very high risk in terms of theft. So here you've got a great value for money option that suits the application that he needs. It's great advice there.
Great advice there,
Yeah.
Tommy.
Good stuff.
I can't recommend anything else. That's
Thank you, Tommy.
That's an obvious choice there.
Advice, ne?
Very good.
You can come back again, Tommy. Okay. All right. So that's something to have a look at, from the Chinese brand of vehicles, GWM. Go and have a look at it, the P Series, or we mentioned the Steed, and see which one suits your budget, and you can make a nice new vehicle there, as opposed to buying something second-hand that's most probably got a lot of mileage on. Okay, moving on. Our next question is from Ruan, who owns a 2021 Suzuki Swift. It currently does not respond to either of the car's remotes, although they have changed the batteries. Please advise on any issues you should be aware of regarding Suzuki's remote central locking system. Paddy, so now you've got a car, the remotes don't work. What do you do?
Who replaced the batteries
Yes.
in the remotes? Were
Was
they
it the-
replaced at the dealership or were they replaced somewhere else?
Oh, he replaced them himself.
Or replaced them himself? So that's question number 1. Question number 2, if the batteries have been changed, does the vehicle not need to be recoded or the key need to be recoded? I
Yeah.
think we discussed this beforehand.
Yeah.
Recoded to the vehicle. I'm not very, very familiar with the problem. I've actually never heard of this.
No, on a lot of remotes, you don't need to recode the key.
Recode, yeah.
But on the Suzuki itself, there is a possibility that it can lose its coding.
Aha.
Okay, so here's...
So a very simple solution. Just go to
so
the dealer and sort
from
it
my
out.
point of I'd say there is no issue really with the central locking.
Yeah.
It's the key that transmits the signal. Now, on the Suzukis, there's two types of keys. One is a traditional key that you would put into the lock with two little buttons on it to lock and unlock it. And then you get the later one, which is the keyless entry one, which has no key as such. You press a button or you walk up to the car, it opens. It depends on which one it is. I assume from what he's saying that it is the normal key that goes into the ignition. So first of all, take Paddy's advice. Check that battery. Was it put in upside down, wrong way around? It should be 3 volts. So if you've got a multimeter, just check that it is actually 3 volts, or you've put a good battery in there. Because quite often, I mean, I've had the case as well. I keep batteries at work for multiple different
they
cars.
die.
And I haven't. They've been lying there for 2 years, and I put in the customer's key. Oh, this one doesn't work. Oh, it must be your key's faulty. And then you put another battery in. Oh, hang on, this works, because the batteries do go flat. So you don't know if you bought batteries somewhere that have been lying around on somebody's shelf for a long time. That's the simple thing. The next thing would be to either take it to Suzuki, and they should be able to reprogram the key so that it works. But go to YouTube, and you go and have a look there, Suzuki Swift code key. And you will find that there is a procedure where you will put the key in the ignition, put the ignition on, open the door, press a couple of buttons, close the door. It's a long process, but you will find that process.
Have tea.
And it
drink a
relearns. It relearns the central locking, and then it may work again. So it may be something simple, just like a key. If you go into YouTube, have a look there to code it, you'll find there's a simple process to code it. If that doesn't work, maybe the keys are faulty. We all drop our keys, don't we?
Yeah.
We drop them, they can break. Take it along to Suzuki, they'll be able to check that out for you, and just a simple coding of the key could resolve your problem.
You know, regularly, Tommy, we say these Google mechanics, what the hell do they know? Here's Mr. Adam Ford advising
Google
you,
mechanic.
advising you.
The YouTube mechanic.
No, people joke about that, but
No.
quite
He's
honestly,
quite right.
I think
You can find a lot of good stuff
we
there.
talk about Google mechanics and that, but really, if you understand what you're looking for, you can find an amazing thing. I always say the internet is a bit like a library. You know, in the old days, we used to have manuals. You could walk into your bookstore and find the manual, and then have to dig through the pages to try and find where you got to go to. Now you go to the internet and you go grrr, and it zips to that page that you need and shows you how to do it. So a great option to look for little things like that. Go into the internet, and a lot of times you can find solutions for these simple problems.
We'll be taking a short break, but when we return, we consider if it makes financial sense to buy a warranty on a 13-year-old vehicle.
And we found out why so many new vehicles are equipped with CVT gearboxes. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Lebogang recently stumbled upon an advert offering a vehicle warranty for only 150 Rand a month. Do you think it is reasonable and worth having such a warranty on a 2010 Mazda2 1.3 active with 153,000 kilometers on the clock? We may also recommend other similar warranty cover if possible. So let me ask you, Paddy, Mazda2, good reliable car, is it worthwhile spending 150 Rand a month on a warranty?
No,
Simple answer, no.
no, it's a Mazda.
It's a Mazda. What does it?
Mazda.
What does that mean?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Sure.
What could go wrong?
So basically, you're saying that Mazda, if it was another car, you may advise yes.
I
Go ahead.
may be advised, but also I think I've mentioned this on previous episodes that you've really got to be very careful about the terms and conditions of the warranties you look at.
Yes.
A vehicle that's 13 years old is going to have a substantial amount of restrictions and terms and conditions and things like that. So if you really want to go the extended warranty route, make sure that you get full disclosure on what is covered and what is not covered and under what conditions they are covered.
And the percentage they cover
And the
too.
percentage of the replacement value that is covered.
Yeah. So there's a lot of terms and conditions with this.
A lot of terms
which
and
the
conditions.
consumer often
Yeah.
does not understand.
And I have in the past very often said or recommended that if you are buying a pre-owned vehicle, make sure you've got some kind of a warranty in place. With the Mazda, I don't think that, and I mean, he doesn't do high mileage. It's 12,000 Ks a year
yeah.
based on his mileage and the year model. Personally, if he really wants to go that route, read the terms and conditions, check what has or has not had to be replaced on the vehicle. in the 13 years that he's had it,
So-
and then make a decision.
So
based on
obviously, you know, in my line of business, we get a lot of these policies coming through to
that.
us.
Correct.
I would say 85% of the time we have an issue and the consumer doesn't get paid the correct amount or they don't cover everything accordingly. So as an example, sometimes they will buy a policy like this from whoever it is from 150 Rand a month. Think about it. If you're spending roughly, 1,700 Rand a year, and if your engine blows up, are they going to pay out 40,000 Rand for it? There's no ways they're going to do that. So often what happens is they like basic service plans. So we'll get a customer bring a car in. Oh, I've got this policy, it covers my service. You phone up and they say, yes, sir, it does cover your oil and your oil filter and your air filter, and that is it. Nothing else. But the car needs a new fan belt, not covered. But the car needs brake pads, not covered.
Wear and tear items.
It needs
tear
this, not
items.
covered. A lot of those components aren't covered.
You made a very valid point. I believe you checked this policy out.
Yeah, there's only one problem with the specific one that Lebogang named. It covers cars up to 12 years old, and his car is 13 years old. So he
So
just
there's
doesn't
no...
qualify for this one, unfortunately.
So we could have made this a very short question. Is it worth me buying for this policy? No, it
No.
doesn't cover your car. You see, now this is the problem. You buy it on a 12-year-old car. What happens in the year 13? Sorry, your car's too old now.
Yes.
So there's a lot. You've really got to make sure you understand all of these policies. There are some good ones out there, but a lot of them do not. It's better for you to actually say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open a little savings account and put that money away every month or maybe a little bit more everywhere to cover any of my maintenance issues that I'm going to have.
And like Patty said, though, it's a Mazda.
Yeah.
What can go wrong?
But also, I mean, for
You don't wanna know that
150 Rand, what are you covering there? Car wash.
A good point.
Car wash, yes.
Yes, that is the
Same,
problem.
yeah.
See, it says.
Is that what you said? You said a car wash will be covered here?
Well, at that price, it better be.
I'm getting you in trouble, Tommy. Our last question is an interesting one from Kobus. The unreliability of DSG gearboxes is something that is often spoken about on the show. So Kobus would like to know why so many manufacturers insisted on equipping newer models with CVT and dual clutch transmissions instead of a regular torque converter automatic. Simple, proven auto boxes, as found, for example, in BMWs and Hondas, are super smooth, slick shifting, and sporty when needed, and very reliable. Tommy, why do they insist?
I have no idea. Probably it's because it's cheap to manufacture, especially with the CVT. But for me personally, I think DSG should stay in performance cars. Anything with less than like 200 kilowatts or something of that nature shouldn't have a DSG box of any sort. Doesn't make any sense.
Look, we all know that the DSG gearbox can be an unreliable gearbox. He mentioned dual clutch transmissions. Well, a DSG is German for dual clutch transmission. So they're both exactly the same sort of thing. Certain manufacturers have DCT gearboxes. I mean, I think Havals do.
The
They have-
H6 range has got
and
the
they are
DCT.
generally fairly reliable
We've not had issues.
on your product.
No.
I agree here, Kobus, why most manufacturers don't go for just a good old automatic gearbox. And it's correct what he says, is the automatic gearbox has been around for many years. They are bulletproof, reliable, they don't give troubles. The one thing I do find about CVT gearboxes, I find them to be very reliable. And the reason mostly Asian manufacturers fit them in their cars is because they are sort of more fuel efficient, because they generally keep the engine at the peak performance of gear change, so you'll always get the best sort of fuel consumption out of them. And I think it's correct what Tommy says, they're cheap to manufacture, and that brings the cost of things down. And remember where a lot of these cars with CVT gearboxes come from. They come from countries where people drive the speed limit, not like us who drive like idiots. You know, we drive
Hey, talk
too
for
fast.
yourself. Speak for yourself, eh?
No, just look on the roads. Just look on the roads. But really, CVT gearboxes, if a lot of them come from Japanese manufacturers, and if you see how people drive like in Japan, they're not driving like we do, unless it's, some race car guys. But generally, your day-to-day car, your Honda Jazz, your Toyota Corolla, whatever, that's got a CVT gearbox, it works well, it's reliable, they last a long time, and they are fairly fuel efficient. But they're not the best in terms of driver response. And I'm with Kobus. Put a straight automatic gearbox in a car, they work well. They've proven reliability, but I think it's
And
just
they're not expensive to repair if
Yeah.
they fail. And they fail purely because of poor maintenance of the gearbox.
Yeah.
Or you hit the sump and the oil's leaked out and you continue driving. And that's the only reason I've seen automatic gearboxes fail. Whereas with these DSG gearboxes, I've seen them fail, just fail.
I have a question for you, Sagi. What gearbox would you put in an electric car?
I'll tell you what. Please don't talk about electric vehicles to me.
Do you know, it's interesting.
You know how much I like electric vehicles, right?
It's quite
Don't
interesting.
they have that one-speed gearbox,
Yes.
like a sewing machine?
Yes, some
Just
of them
put
have 2-speed.
drive and reverse.
Yes.
That's it. That's the
But
gearbox
that's a
you
very
use there.
interesting thing because electric cars don't have gearboxes. So basically, you have. I always say to people, electric cars, if you think of it like a electric drill, the more you pull the trigger, the faster it goes. I just recently had the BMW iX3 on test, which is the
Yeah,
electric
you raved
version of the
about it,
X3.
I noticed, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Love that car because it is such a smooth, quiet drive. I'm sold on electricity, on electric cars. I think they are absolutely brilliant in the application.
Wait.
Faces.
You know what he forgot to tell you? He had the car for a week, but 6 days it was on charge.
Oh.
Because of the load shedding. He drove one
Well-
day he drove it for the 200 kilometers that it allowed him. You know?
And just like that, we've come to the end of another episode. Paddy, Tommy, thank you so much for enduring Segi for the day and spending time with us in studio with all your great advice. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you, Tommy, for dropping me in again. Until next time, remember to keep left, pass right, and please, guys, keep it safe on the roads.